Hello and welcome to a brand new reading vlog. That was a weird way to say the intro, but... So today is Wednesday, June 13th. On Monday, I finished A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, which was the book that I had been reading in my last vlog. I gave this one 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was my first V.E. Schwab book, and I definitely want to read more from her. I really enjoyed the characters, especially Lila. She was so good. I thought the magic system and the plot was just really interesting. I thought the villains were so well crafted. Like, just reading about them like gave me chills. That's how you know it's a good villain. One thing I will say is that sometimes the magic system could be a little confusing, like kind of hard to grasp. I want to see more exploration of it in the next books. I also want to see more of the characters because this was definitely plot driven, and that's fine because it did have a pretty intense plot to follow, but I would have liked to have more time with the characters, learning more about them, especially because I liked them so much. But yeah, obviously I'm gonna continue with this series because it was real good. So after that, yesterday I started Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. Hold up, can we just talk about how my tank top matches the color of the grass on the book cover exactly? Like, oh my god. Okay, back to the video. I'm a little under halfway through this one. I've been listening to it on audiobook because it's a pretty good audiobook, if I do say so myself. If you don't know, this is like a really hard book to describe the plot of because I know from what I've heard it's about a theater troupe and it's like dystopian, which at the minimum baseline of the plot, yes, but there's also so much more to it that it's just really hard to describe, and I think you just kind of got to go into it. I'm enjoying this so far. I think the beginning was definitely the most interesting to me, like the first few chapters where the world is starting to be introduced to this epidemic that causes the dystopian aspect of it. I thought reading about that was so interesting, but then it's kind of gone off. Like, I knew like the theater troupe dystopian stuff was coming, so I was like expecting that, but it's kind of gone off on just other routes. Like, it kind of flashes back and forth between the past and the future, and right now I'm just struggling to kind of see where the connections are going to be. Like, I see like loose connections, but I don't see like the bigger picture yet, like why it matters. So hopefully by the end I will see that, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, those parts were great. But right now I'm just kind of like, I just want to know why we doing this, what's going on. So yeah, I'm definitely going to continue reading that today, but right now I'm about to go see Ocean's 8 and I'm really excited. Fun fact, I've never seen one of the Ocean movies before, but when I saw the Ocean's 8 trailer and all those awesome women do a heist, I was like, yes daddy, I do. Or I guess I should say, yes mama, I do.
Come on, let's get this show on the road.
I was told you couldn't come. I'm a spontaneous person. No, you're not. No, I'm not.
Why?
I just don't feel comfortable.
Why won't you feel comfortable?
Almost every single person has told me they liked the way I sounded, but that they didn't like.
Yes, Gaga, you look so good.
The best part about having a dog is when they get so excited when you come home. Obviously, she looks fine now, but she was excited, and it's just so sweet, and it makes me so happy. I love you, Miss Mindy. Yes, you were so cute. Yes, you are. So it is the next day now. I just finished reading Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. I really enjoyed it. It was not exactly, I think, what I was expecting going into it, but it was a very beautiful, well-written story. It was very intriguing, and a lot of times it had me on the edge of my seat, yet at the same time it's a subtle story, more so about human nature and survival and what we do in hard times rather than an end of the world kind of dystopian thing. There's someone walking by my window. There were some parts that I think it wasn't like a bad part of the book. Some of it just didn't feel as, I guess, necessary than other parts. I don't know, it's just not what I was expecting, but it was very good. So I think I'm gonna give it 4 stars because, like I said, it was beautifully written. I was definitely mostly interested in the beginning of the epidemic that starts, you know, the dystopian aspect of the book, and throughout the novel when it would talk about the very beginning of that and what people were doing. There was just some segments, like a lot of the stuff about Arthur, I wasn't like bored by, but I wasn't as intrigued. So it is now Saturday the 16th. It's been a couple days. Yesterday I just like wasn't, I guess, in a mood to read. I started another 30-minute television comedy show because that's what I do now, I guess. But I started watching Superstore, and I watched like nearly all of season 2 yesterday instead of reading anything. But I redeemed my day of no reading yesterday because not only did I start a book, but I finished one today, and it is How to Love by Katie Katugno. This book is about a girl named Rena, and the story itself flashes back and forth between before she got pregnant and then after. So the before kind of tells the story of her and her baby daddy, and then the after tells the story of him coming back after he'd been gone for like 2 years. So it basically shows, you know, how they got together, and then in the after it shows how Rena has adjusted to being a teen mom and what she's gonna do now that her baby daddy is suddenly back in the picture. I wanted to read this because the premise of teen pregnancy just intrigues me for some reason. It's one of those topics like Love, Rosie is one of my favorite movies. I watched Teen Mom and Teen Mom 2 and 16 and Pregnant and all that stuff. And so on that factor, I really loved getting to see Rena and Hannah, who's her baby. Just anytime they interacted, Rena was such a good mother. I thought the before and after part of the book was done really well. I know like flashing back between the past and the future for me can really be a hit or miss thing, but this book did it really well. It was super realistic feeling as well. I felt like I could really put myself in Rena's shoes, not because like I have any experience with what she was going through, but it was easy to picture myself in that situation and be like, wow, that would be crazy. I gave this book 3.5 stars, but it honestly could have been a 5-star if I liked Sawyer. Sawyer is her love interest. I don't know if I ever said his name, but I just really didn't like him. I mean, obviously the before him is very flawed, and I understand that people are often very flawed, but my problem was that even by the end of the book, I still wasn't convinced that he'd changed enough to want him to be with Rena, and I just didn't really like him, I guess. Like, he was just like, I don't know, something about him just really rubbed me the wrong way, and I don't feel like his arc was good enough to make him redeemable by the end of the novel. I really would have loved if this just focused on Rena and Hannah and Rena's relationship with her family, because it is very complicated and we get a little bit of that, but I think this would have been better if there was less focus on Sawyer and more on just Rena and her baby and her family. So hi, it's the next day now. I don't have a reading update because I've been a total flap today and just haven't read anything, but I realized that I never picked a book out of my little mug here for June to read, because if you don't know, I made a challenge at the beginning of the year to read the books that I've had the longest on my TBR, and there was like 12 exactly, so I was like, once a month. But I never picked one for June, and I think it's because I know there's only one left and think I might unhaul it instead of reading it. So let's just go through the ones that are in here real quick. Yeah, we got Every Day by David Levithan, which I already read. Scarlet by Marissa Meyer, which I already read. Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell, which I unhauled. The Sky is Everywhere by Jandy Nelson, which I already read. The Other Normals by Ned Vizzini, which I unhauled. And then the last one that I knew was in here is Split Second by Casey West, which is the sequel to Pivot Point. Originally, I did think that I was going to read this book because I did really like Pivot Point, but every time I look at it, I just feel like I don't want to read it. I read Pivot Point so long ago that to read this, I really would have to reread it because I know it was a pretty complex plot. So I think the only explanation there is then to get rid of both of these, because obviously if I'm not going to read this one, then I don't need to hang on to this one, and I just don't think I'm going to reread this one, so I can't read this one. So that means this little TBR challenge thing is done for the year, which is unexpected. I made the challenge fitting to my reading life and how I read, you know, the previous year, where I read like 41 books total. And I definitely did not expect to hit 50 books in June. I love that I've exceeded myself, and I like that I was able to unhaul some of these things that I just wasn't excited about. Like Eleanor and Park, for example, was one of those books that I was only going to read because of the hype around it, but I just realized I didn't have an interest for it, so why? I think with booktube especially, there are these books that come along that everyone seems to be reading and everyone seems to be talking about, and then you kind of feel like you need to read that just because you want to like not just to fit in, but I guess to fit in. And I think that's normal. I think that's valid. It's like a community event almost, you know? I'm just really trying to get over the feeling like I need to read a certain book. I never need to read any book unless it's for a class, and even then sometimes you can get by without reading it. You want to show everyone the trick that you can do? Go up. Dance. Oh, good girl. Stay. Okay, go get it. Roll over. Oh, good girl. I can't even handle it. You're so cute. Oh my goodness, look at that puppy's face.
2 days later.
It's almost 7 p.m. and I've really only been like filming a video today, which is why I have my makeup on. Clearly, I haven't read anything today. However, yesterday I didn't do an update, but I started and finished Moxie by Jennifer Matu. I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars overall. It was so empowering, so feminist, and I absolutely loved that. I really just loved reading about this group of girls coming together and standing up for feminism and their rights. I really liked how Moxie was more of a movement than a group. The main character who starts it, you know, she pretty much wants to stay anonymous, and mostly because, you know, she's worried about what would happen if people knew it was her, which makes sense. But also it just allowed it to be really just like a movement. Like, it didn't need a founder. It was just anyone, any girl could be Moxie. And I thought that was just such a great message. I would have loved to read this in high school, and I think this has been a book that's been needed for a long time. So I'm glad that, you know, the girls of today finally have this. My only problem with it, and the reason I didn't give it 5 stars, is that it does require a certain suspension of disbelief, just because the way that some things happen, like some of the things that the boys get away with especially, just seemed very unrealistic to me. I mean, maybe for a like small conservative town, I don't know, I didn't have that kind of experience, but it just seemed like some of it was like a little overboard. I'm sure those are things that, you know, boys have gotten away with in the past, like before people have really started to wake up, because we have obviously gone through a lot of changes throughout history. We might not be perfect yet, but things have come a long way in terms of women's rights. But it just felt, for like a setting in this day and age, that some of it just seemed over the top. But other than that, I really loved this. I just thought it was so powerful. Like, the girls' passion was so infectious, and I think if you're a feminist, you're gonna like this book. Hello. So it is now Saturday, June 22nd, 23rd. I honestly don't know what day it is. It's been a minute since I last filmed a clip, and I have 2 books to actually update you on. So the first book I started and finished is The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. I gave this one 3.5 stars. I did really enjoy it. I really liked the characters, especially Monty and Percy and their relationship, and I thought it was generally well written. I had just wished that there was more focus on the characters, because I really did like the characters, but I wanted more. I wanted more of Monty and Percy's relationship. It had a very fast-paced action-adventure kind of thing going on, and I think it tended to focus on that more than the characters, and I don't think it needed to focus on the sort of adventure part of it as much as it needed to, or as much as it did not needed to. I also thought this was going to be more of a road trip book, but it wasn't really focused on that. It quickly delved into a different storyline, but overall I did enjoy it. So then today I started and finished Before I Go to Sleep by S.J. Watson. This is a psychological thriller that follows a woman who every day when she wakes up, she doesn't remember anything about her life, basically. She has a few childhood memories and that's about it. And so the book is basically about her trying to figure out her past and what happened, and she starts to get suspicious of things, and it goes from there. This was really gripping. Obviously I read it in like one sitting, or I listened to it in one sitting. The beginning was super intriguing, and the end was extremely intriguing. The only part that brought it down, I would say, is the middle. It just got a little lengthy for like what it was focusing on, and I didn't feel some of the suspense that I felt in both the beginning and the end of the novel, and I think suspense is a pretty, you know, big factor for a thriller. But it was very good. I was interesting. I did not see the end coming, the plot twist, so that was good on you, S.J. Watson. I gave this one 4 stars, and yeah, it was pretty good. And there is a movie that I think I'll try to watch soon. So ignore the fact that I'm looking like a drowned rat because I just took a shower. But I wanted to come on here and end this vlog because it's getting pretty long. But I thought I would leave off with picking what I'm going to read next because I honestly have no idea. So I'm gonna ask my friend Whitney, aka Witty Novels, to pick a number between 1 and 11 because those are the books that are on my immediate TBR. There are some others that I have that are on my physical TBR that I just know I don't want to read right now. They're like long game books. So let me text her. So while I wait for her to respond, I thought I would show you guys my little TBR shelf here. I'm not including the Chronicles of Narnia series because those are just, like I said, on my like long game TBR. I like to read those for readathons, especially because they're super quick. Another one on my long game is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I need to be mentally, physically, and emotionally ready because this is a giant book, and I'm definitely not ready right now. I'm also not including All the Crooked Saints by Maggie Stiefvater because I think I might unhaul that. I don't know. It's on the back burner right now. And I'm also not including my like poetry books and my one graphic novel because again, those are nice for readathons or whenever I just need something that's really quick.
20 minutes later.
So right as I was about to ask Twitter because she was taking too long to respond, she responded and she said 6.
What the heck come after 6?
So let's see what she chose. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my fucking god, are you kidding me? So Whitney chose Furthermore by Tahira Mafi. Oh my god. Let me just say that she had no idea even what I was asking a number for, and she obviously doesn't know what my TBR shelf looks like. So the fact that she just chose a number that happened to be Furthermore is insane. Like, only Whitney. I don't really know much about this. I know that it's a middle grade novel, and I think it's about this girl who lives in a colorless world and then she goes on some kind of adventure. I don't know, but Tahira Mafi's writing is excellent, so I'm hoping this will be good. So yeah, if you want to know what I end up thinking about Furthermore, check out my next reading vlog, but until then, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!